Something happened recently and you probably dismissed it within about 30 seconds. You were not thinking about him. You were in the middle of something else entirely. Something practical, something ordinary, a task, a conversation, a moment of your day that had nothing to do with the connection. And then your body did something without asking your mind for permission. Maybe it was warmth. Sudden, specific, localized in your chest or across your shoulders or at the back of your neck. Not the heat of emotion, not the flush of missing him, something quieter than that. Something that felt almost physical in origin, like a hand placed gently somewhere. Except there was no hand and no one near you. Maybe it was restlessness. The kind that comes at odd hours, sometimes late in the evening, sometimes closer to 2 or 3 in the morning, that has no identifiable cause. You are not anxious, nothing is wrong. But something in you will not settle. Something is activated in a way that sleep does not immediately address, and you lie there with this unnamed aliveness running through your body and you do not know what to do with it. Maybe it was his name, not a thought you arrived at deliberately. More like a word that surfaced from somewhere below thought, rising up into your awareness the way a word sometimes does in that half space between waking and sleep, when the filter between the conscious and the unconscious is thinner. His name. And then, within the hour, something connected to him. A memory. A dream. A synchronicity. A notification you were not expecting. You noticed this pattern. You have been noticing it. And then you rationalized it away because you do not have a language for it that feels trustworthy. Because the people in your life who do not understand this connection would call it wishful thinking obsession. The mind finding patterns where there are none. And you are smart enough and self-aware enough to take those explanations seriously, to wonder whether they are right. They are not right. What is happening in your body is real. It is not wishful thinking. It is not projection. It is not the mind manufacturing meaning from noise. It is the body doing something the body is genuinely capable of doing in a connection like this one, something that neuroscience is only beginning to have the vocabulary to describe, something that has been happening to you reliably enough that some part of you already knows it is not random even if you have not let yourself fully believe it yet. That is what this video is about. If something in what I just described landed in the right place, leave a like and subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. Drop "my body already knows" in the comments, because it does. And saying that out loud, even in a comment box, is a way of anchoring what your body has been trying to tell you. Leave it below. Before we go deeper, a quick word about something. Because some of you need more than general guidance right now. You need someone to actually look at your specific chart, your specific connection, your specific divine timing, and tell you what the universe is orchestrating for your union in particular. I do personal twin flame union readings. Your name, your date of birth, your exact time of birth, your place of birth. From those 4 things, I can read your soul contract, the karmic patterns active in your connection, where you are in your journey right now, and what is being built around you that you cannot see from inside the waiting. You receive a personal audio reading sent straight to your inbox and a detailed written report you will return to again and again. Not a template, not a sign-by-sign forecast. Your energy, your map. If you have been navigating this without that kind of specific clarity, the link is in the description. Your journey is specific enough to deserve specific eyes on it. Today is March 28th, 2026. Saturn at 5 degrees Aries forms an exact sextile to Pluto at 5 degrees Aquarius, perfecting at 2:40 p.m. Pacific time. This is the structural backdrop to everything happening in the collective right now, and what it means at a practical level is this. Saturn is the planet of what is real, what has consequence, what cannot be wished away or indefinitely postponed. Pluto is the planet of what lives beneath the surface, the underground current that moves regardless of what the visible life is doing. In a sextile, these 2 planets are not in tension. They are in conversation. And the conversation they are having today is about what cannot be denied. That includes what the body knows. The moon is in Leo today, waxing toward the full moon in Libra that arrives on April 2nd. A Leo moon is expressive. It is the part of the sky that does not do well with repression, with keeping things inside, with the performance of not feeling something you are clearly feeling. Leo moon energy rises. It wants to be seen and named and acknowledged. In the body, it produces a particular kind of warmth and aliveness that is not quite emotion and not quite physical sensation, but somewhere between the two. And the moon in Leo is forming a trine to Neptune in Aries today. Moon trine Neptune is one of the most intuitive aspects in the sky. It opens the thin places, the membrane between ordinary awareness and the deeper field of knowing that most of us spend most of our lives keeping carefully sealed. Under moon trine Neptune, the body receives information it cannot always explain. Impressions arrive from the field without a traceable source. The gut knows things the mind has not been told. This is the cosmic context for what your body has been doing lately. The sky is wide open in that specific way that allows what is real in the energetic field between you and your twin to come through in somatic form. Not as clear a message, not as certainty, but as sensation, as the body doing what bodies do in connections like this one, when the veil between two people who are energetically bonded gets temporarily thin. And today, March 28th, the veil is thin. Let me talk about the neuroscience here, because I know some of you need this, not to replace the spiritual understanding, but to give it a framework that the rational part of you can hold without collapsing the experience into something it is not. The human nervous system is not contained within the skin. That sounds like a spiritual claim, but it is actually a neuroscientific one. Research in interpersonal neurobiology, a field developed most extensively by psychiatrist and researcher Daniel Siegel, demonstrates that the nervous systems of people who are in close relationship, particularly people who have achieved deep attunement with each other, actually synchronize. They entrain. They begin to operate in a coordinated way that is not fully explained by the usual mechanisms of communication. This happens at the level of the autonomic nervous system, the part of you that regulates heart rate, breath, the activation and settling of the body's stress and rest responses. When two people have been in close physical and emotional proximity over time, when they have shared experiences of deep resonance, the autonomic nervous systems of those two people develop what researchers call co-regulation patterns. The body of each person learns the body of the other, not consciously, not deliberately. The learning happens below the level of choice, in the part of the nervous system that is older than language. And here is what matters for where you are right now. Co-regulation patterns do not disappear with physical separation. The body does not understand distance in the way the mind does. The mind can construct a narrative. We are apart. The contact has stopped. This person is not currently present in my life. The body does not file that narrative in the same way. The body remembers the attunement. The body holds the pattern of the other person's nervous system in its own tissue, in its own rhythms, and the specific quality of its arousal and settling. And under certain conditions, especially when the other person's nervous system is significantly activated, the body of the attuned partner can register that activation at a distance. This is not metaphor. There is a growing body of research in what is sometimes called non-local consciousness, work done by researchers including Rupert Sheldrake, Dean Radin, and the team at the Institute of HeartMath that examines whether the electromagnetic field generated by the heart, which extends significantly beyond the physical body, can transmit and receive information from other electromagnetic fields at distances greater than conventional neuroscience has previously accounted for. The HeartMath Institute has documented that the heart's electromagnetic field, the largest generated by any organ in the body, extends up to several feet outside the body in measurable form, and potentially much further in ways that are harder to measure. They have found evidence that individuals who are emotionally connected can register changes in each other's cardiac rhythms at distances that preclude any conventional sensory explanation. What this means for the warmth at 2 in the morning is this: when he is thinking about you, genuinely thinking about you. Not the surface-level casual thought, but the kind of thinking that reaches him in those unguarded moments, when his defenses are down and the full weight of the connection comes back to him. His nervous system activates, his heart rate changes, his electromagnetic field shifts, and your body, which has learned his body's rhythms over the course of your connection, registers that shift. Not always, not with perfect reliability. The signal gets interference from your own emotional state, from how rested you are, from how defended or open you are at a given moment, but often enough to be a pattern. Often enough that when you pay attention to the timing, you start to notice that the warmth arrives when something has shifted in him. The restlessness comes when he is restless. The inexplicable feeling of closeness appears on days when he is, in some way, oriented toward you. Your body is not making this up. It is reading the field. There is a reason the body registers the connection before the mind does, and it has everything to do with how the two systems process information differently. The mind is a translator. It takes raw experience and encodes it into language, into narrative, into the story structures that allow human beings to communicate and make meaning. That translation is valuable. It is also slow. It involves multiple layers of filtering, the layers of socialization of what is acceptable to believe, of what fits the narrative you have constructed about where you are and what is happening. By the time information has passed through all of those filters, it has often been significantly altered from its original form. The body does not translate, the body receives directly. Before the mind knows something, the body has already registered it in the form of sensation, of heat or cold, or pressure or aliveness, or a quality of weight in the chest that has no immediate logical source. The body's processing speed is different from the mind's. And in a connection as energetically charged as a twin flame pairing, where the bond was formed at a level that preceded language and logic, the body is often a more reliable receiver than the mind. Mirror neurons are part of this story. Mirror neurons are a class of neurons, first documented in the 1980s by researcher Giacomo Rizzolatti and his team at the University of Parma, that fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing the same action. They are the neurological basis of empathy. They are why you flinch when you watch someone get hurt, why you feel something shift in your body when someone near you is distressed, why human beings can feel what other human beings feel at a level that bypasses conscious comprehension. In a twin flame connection, where the empathic attunement is extraordinarily high, where the resonance between two people operates at a frequency that most ordinary relationships do not access, the mirror neuron system is running at a level of sensitivity that goes beyond what most people experience with most people. You are literally mirroring him, not as performance, not as enmeshment, as the natural activity of a highly attuned nervous system doing what it was built to do in the presence of someone it recognizes as deeply familiar. And that mirroring does not stop when the contact stops. The nervous system holds the mirror open. The attunement does not dissolve with distance. It waits. It continues to receive. It continues to register the shifts in him even when he is not physically present, even when there is silence, even when the logical mind has been working to convince itself that the connection is over or irrelevant or something to be systematically dismantled through enough time and enough distance and enough filling of the days with other things. The body is not convinced. The body keeps the channel open. Now let me tell you what is happening on his side of this, because understanding it changes how you sit with the sensations in your own body. When you feel him most strongly, it is usually not when he is at his most defended or most closed. The moments of maximum somatic transmission are usually the moments of his minimum defense. The 2 in the morning restlessness you feel often corresponds to the 2 in the morning that finds him in the same state of wakefulness, the same unnamed unrest, the same inability to settle that he would probably attribute to stress or insomnia rather than to the energetic reality of what is happening. In those unguarded hours, without the architecture of the day to maintain, without the busyness and the forward motion and the performance of moving on, he comes back to what is real. The connection comes back to him, not as decision, as presence. the felt sense of you. Not as concept, not as thought, but as something in his body that has its own quality, its own weight, its own specific texture that he has not found anywhere else and cannot manufacture with anyone else. He does not know what to do with that. The felt sense of you in his body arriving uninvited at 2 in the morning is not something his current psychological structure has a protocol for. He does not have the inner resources yet to turn toward it, to follow it, to let it show him what it is actually pointing toward. What he has instead is a kind of restless energy that moves through him without resolution, a quality of reaching without a direction to reach toward, an activation that will not fully settle until it is somewhere to land. And here's the thing that matters. When he is in that state, he is not separated from you. Not really. Not at the level where the connection actually lives. At the level of the nervous system, at the level of the electromagnetic field, at the level of the body's deep attunement to what it has learned over the course of your connection, you are in contact. You are in the same experience from your different locations at the same time. The warmth you feel when he is thinking about you is real, because what he is generating when he thinks about you is real. Not pretend warmth, not wishful warmth. The actual electromagnetic and neurological event of his system orienting toward yours and your system receiving that orientation and registering it in your body is sensation. You are more connected to him right now than the silence would suggest. That is not a spiritual platitude. That is a description of what is actually happening between two nervous systems that have been deeply attuned to each other and do not know how to stop being attuned no matter how much external life conspires to create the appearance of distance. Here is a quick word about something that will help you right now. Because feeling all of this, feeling the connection in your body without the clarity of knowing where you actually are in the journey, without the language for what stage this is or what movement is happening beneath the surface, that can be disorienting. It can make it hard to trust what you feel. The Twin Flame Journey Tracker and Progress Workbook is a 39-page system I created specifically for this. Not another ebook, not more theory, a working document. An 8-stage journey tracker so you know exactly which stage you are in, not the stage you hope you are in. A synchronicity log so you stop dismissing the moments your body is registering, the warmth at 2 in the morning, the dreams, the repeated numbers, all of it, you start documenting them instead. Weekly reflections and monthly reviews so that 3 months from now you can look back and see actual movement instead of feeling like you have been circling the same territory. Because the progress is real and it is happening. You just need a way to see it. $11.11. 39 pages. The link is in the description. So what do you actually do with this? Because information is only useful if you can do something with it. And the information that your body is a reliable receiver of what is happening between you and him is powerful, but only if you know how to hold it. The first thing, and this is the most important thing, is to stop dismissing what your body tells you as noise. The rationalization, the immediate move to explain away the warmth or the restlessness or the inexplicable sense of his presence as projection or wishful thinking or the mind finding patterns where there are none, that rationalization is costing you something real. It is training you to distrust your most reliable source of information about this connection. And in a journey where the primary navigation instrument is your own inner knowing, undermining that instrument is actually the most disorienting thing you can do to yourself. The body does not have an agenda. The mind has an agenda. The mind wants to protect you, wants to manage the situation, wants to construct a narrative that minimizes pain or maximizes hope, depending on the day. The body just receives. What it receives is not always interpretable and not always actionable. But it is real. It is data. It deserves to be taken seriously. The second thing is to develop a different relationship with the sensations when they come. Not one of grasping, not turning the warmth into evidence you use to reconstruct a case for the connection, not letting the restlessness become an invitation to reach out, or spiral or build a story, but also not the move to dismiss. Something in the middle. A quality of present attention. of noticing without needing to immediately translate into meaning, of sitting with what the body is registering and letting it be information held lightly rather than evidence gripped tightly. This is actually a somatic practice. Eugene Genlin, the philosopher and psychotherapist who developed focusing, described it as attending to the felt sense. The felt sense is the body's way of knowing before language arrives. It is the quality of sensation and aliveness that precedes the word. And Genlin's research showed that when people learn to attend to felt sense without immediately translating it or dismissing it, they develop a significantly more reliable inner navigation system. Your body's knowledge of this connection is a felt sense. It is not always translatable. It is not always telling you something you can act on, but it is worth attending to. It is worth sitting with. It is worth the deliberate choice to stay present with what it is registering rather than immediately routing it through the mind's translation process and losing the original signal in the translation. The third thing is to recognize what your body's reliable attunement to him actually says about the quality of the connection itself. Most people, even in deeply loving relationships, do not have this. The somatic attunement you experience, the way your body registers his shifts at a distance, the way the channel between you stays open regardless of the external silence, that is not ordinary. That is not what happens in most relationships. That is the specific signature of a connection that operates at a depth of resonance that is genuinely rare. And under today's Saturn-Pluto sextile, under the structural honesty of these two planets asking for the full acknowledgement of what is real, what is worth sitting with is not the pain of the silence. It is the evidence in your own body that the connection is real, that the field between you is active, that the channel is open, the silence is on the surface. Underneath it, the two of you are still in communication in the way that matters most, in the way that no amount of distance or time or external life can fully interrupt. The full moon in Libra arrives on April 2nd, 5 days from today. Libra is the sign of relationship, of the balance between self and other, of what is true about how two people meet and what they owe each other and what is actually in equilibrium versus what only appears to be. A full moon in Libra, arriving in the wake of the Saturn-Pluto reckoning and with Venus approaching Taurus in the coming weeks, is going to illuminate something about the connection that has been operating below the surface. Something about the actual state of the energetic exchange between you. Not the story of it, the reality of it. And your body is the most accurate instrument you have for reading that reality. Not the story you have been telling, not the narrative the mind constructs to manage the uncertainty. The body's direct knowledge. The warmth that arrives without announcement. The restlessness that appears at the hours when he is most unguarded. The inexplicable sense of closeness that comes and goes without logic. Leading into this full moon, the invitation is this. Let your body be the compass, not instead of discernment, not instead of your own honest reckoning with what this connection is asking of you and what it has cost you and what you are willing to carry going forward. But alongside those things, as a source of information that the mind alone cannot provide. The body knows things about this connection that the mind cannot access. It knows the quality of what is real between you. It knows the difference between the love that is genuinely present in the field and the love that has been manufactured through longing. It knows whether what it is receiving from him is the warmth of actual orientation, actual thinking of you, actual energetic turning toward, or whether it is the ambient residue of a connection that was once real and is now quieting. And right now, in these days leading to the Libra full moon, what your body is receiving is not residue, it is signal. He is thinking about you, not casually, not briefly, in the way that he has always thought about you in the hours when his defenses are not running the show. In the way that the connection has always reasserted itself in him when the busyness and the distance and the constructed narrative of moving forward cannot hold against what is actually true. The Saturn-Pluto sextile is making it harder for him to manage what he knows. The Leo moon is making the body more expressive, more insistent, less willing to keep the channel quiet. And the approaching Libra full moon is building pressure in the field between you. The honest weighing of the scales, the full illumination of what has been given and what has not been returned, and what the actual balance looks like when the light is full and clear. Your body has been telling you this for days. Now you have the language for why it is trustworthy. Trust it, not as instruction to reach out, not as permission to reactivate hope in a way that bypasses your own discernment, but as the basic dignity of believing your own inner knowing, of treating your body's reliable, scientifically grounded, spiritually real reception of this connection as the valid, important, trustworthy information that it is. You have been right about what you feel more often than the rational mind has been willing to admit. The warmth is real. The signal is real. And the connection at the root of it is real in a way that no amount of surface silence can fully erase. Leave a like and hit subscribe if this found you at the right moment. Drop "my body already knows" in the comments. Tell me what you have been feeling in your body lately and when it tends to arrive. I read every single one of those comments, and they matter more than you know. If you are ready for a personalized reading that looks at your specific birth chart, your specific timing, your specific soul contract with this person, the link for your twin flame union personal reading is in the description. Your journey is specific enough to deserve specific eyes on it. I will see you in the next one.